Hello, can we all hear me? Are we all able to hear me? Maybe I'm too loud. Can't tell on the things. Welcome to the stream. I'm just gonna pop off the tweet saying that the stream is going. Hey, Red Tixied, thanks for joining us. Loud and clear, amazing, and Paul as well, brilliant. Thank you, Azila Jane, for enjoying the Girlboss ep. We're going to do a bit of talking about that. Anyone who's been, thank you, Anna. We're going to sort of just chill out. Am I wearing? I actually am wearing. Oh no, I'm not wearing that hoodie. Not wearing the hoodie you're thinking of, Red Tixied. John Duncan let himself go. No, I didn't. I'm doing my best. I went running today. It's just this is the effect of the Trash Future stream universe on my self-esteem. One second. I'm just gonna tweet saying I'm live now, and then I will pay attention to the chat. No, I know what you mean. Don't worry. Devon is responsible for destroying so much of my self-esteem. They are well aware of that. Yeah. So plan for today's stream was just, if anyone's not been here before, I just tend to ramble. I just sort of go on about whatever's going on. We have a sort of loose plan. I generally sort of going over stuff in the last video. Stuff in the last video. I've got a bit to talk about on something that I was talking about with Bad Bunny. Read the last video. Oh, hey Alice. Oh, nice to see you here. Thanks for popping in to my incredibly dull streams in which it's just a picture and I try desperately to keep talking. Thanks for joining. So plan for today is a bit to just go over the last video. I want to talk a bit about something on the reason why neoliberalism creates a specific feminism rather than just a feminine subject, and I think it's something that's quite important, and I hinted at it a bit in the video, but I think it's probably worth expanding a little bit. But that's the only real sort of thing I wanted to talk about. Other than that, it's just like fucking whatever you degenerates want to try sort of talk about, fucking just go for it. Supposedly, it's a 5k subscriber celebration stream, but I can't really do much to communicate that because everything I own is shit and I can't use video. Which TF host is my least favourite? It's impossible to tell. Which one has most destroyed my my self-esteem? Devon's not. Does Devon count as a host? I don't know, but they've destroyed my self-esteem probably more than any other. But they're all lovely people, and I appreciate them all immensely. So with that sort of general shit, if you folk have questions in the chat or anything they want to talk about, which isn't trying to make me attack TF hosts, then you fucking go for it. Elliot Rosen, hello, I'm taking the fattest dookie of my life right now. I love your videos. Thank you. I hope it goes well. I hope you leave lighter. Red Tixied heard they're all clowns and fools. I couldn't possibly comment on that. I'm afraid. I couldn't possibly comment. So should we get the sort of boring stuff out of the way before Raggle Taggle? I don't know what TF is or who their hosts are. Okay, yeah, that's the safest option in this case. It's a podcast called Trash Future that has taken it upon themselves to relatively frequently and without any provocation, hey Sinan, dunk on my destroy my self-esteem, just every now and again. Great folk. Did I get owned by TF again? I'm not sure. I rarely pop into their streams every these days because of the fear. How much of a doomer are you? I'm in the middle of a doomer phase right now. It depends on the day, I suppose. You need a healthy mixture of both, really. To repeat a fucking what's the word? Shitty stereotype, cliche. To repeat a cliche, Gramscian cliche, pessimism. Pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will, and that's sort of where I try to situate myself. I feel like the Girlboss video has been the best paced video so far. Thank you. I'm very pleased with it. PhilosophyTube said I was the best small YouTuber. That was nice of her. I'm not sure that's true, but that's very nice of her to say so. Yeah, I was very pleased with that video. I think it was the most sort of theoretically inventive one, maybe the most theoretically sort of new one, if you know what I mean. It's like I think it was a useful video. Let me get up the fucking hell, my brain is not working today. I've just been doing a bunch of writing, so I'm a little bit fried. As normal, I'm normally a little bit fried. So let's see if I can talk constantly for an hour and a half while a bit fried. Thumbnail, that was the word. There it is, the thumbnail. Yeah, I think it was theoretically novel, and I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. So I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out. I'm glad that people picked up on the role that the dudes were playing in that, as the sort of idea of like the overwhelmingly male audience, who's kind of like well-meaning, but maybe not the best informed. I very much liked the dudes. All hail the whiteboard. That's right, reasoning aloud. The whiteboard worked phenomenally, and I will be trying to get the whiteboard in as much as possible. I love the whiteboard. The video was improved immensely by the whiteboard. The one thing that I specifically wanted to talk about was a conversation I had with Bad Bunny, the Twitch streamer Bad Bunny, which was quite a good conversation, because I think it's quite useful to talk about. If I can get up my notes on that. My computer, like I say, doesn't work. Everything I own is shit, so it takes fucking ages for me to get anything up on the screen. Here we go. Yes. So Bad Bunny, legitimately in my view, like, questions the idea of this neoliberal feminism being viewed of as feminism, which because it's so obviously like doesn't challenge the patriarchy. So in what meaningful sense can it be considered feminism? And I think that's a useful thing to bring up, and it's something I think that that's useful to talk about. I enjoyed getting to reply Dude Rock to your video. Setting them up so you can knock them down, Sinan. Can we get the diagram on some merch? Social Totality merch, the nerdiest fucking thing in the world. Which is, but you know, I guess that's something. Thank you, Simon J. Hey, Bubble Boy, thanks for joining us. We are all nerds here. Nobody in the chat can defend themselves from that. We're all nerds. Don't even try to defend yourself from that in the chat. Yeah, so let's talk about... Oh, for fuck's sake. I hate this computer so much. Oh my god. You know, my computer can't even do, like... If I can try to do like a Zoom call on my computer, it seizes up and starts to fucking steam. And like it just can't do Zoom calls or Microsoft Teams calls. If I've got to do my goddamn any work that requires a video call, I've got to use my dad's computer or my phone. It's fucking useless. Sorry, everyone here is a nerd. Sinan, nerd, you're sexy, but we're all sexy here as well. We are sexy and we're nerds, and this is the incontrovertible truth. You know how Philosophy Tube said in her video a few videos ago about how she's always wrong on her channel and the goal is to be wrong in interesting ways. I'm not like that. What I say is fucking truth, and we're all nerds and we're all sexy. This is the fucking... this is the truth, and no one can deny it. That's going to come back to bite me in the ass at some point. Red Tixie, you sent me a graphic of Gramsci doing a ego face. That maybe is the fucking nerdiest thing I've ever seen. Blessed be the whiteboard of truth, yes. So, on neoliberal feminism being actual feminism, we're getting there eventually. So I think it is important that labelling neoliberal feminism as feminism can be used often to serve to delegitimize feminism as a whole. And I recognise that it's perhaps worth rejecting it as feminism on that grounds, as sort of a practical, pragmatic thing to say, oh, this isn't really feminism, it doesn't challenge the patriarchy on pragmatic grounds, because you do see that quite a lot. And this is something I was very keen to make sure the video addressed, was the ways that critiques of neoliberal feminism are often used by particular men on the left as a way of dismissing feminism or critique of the patriarchy as a whole, and as just like an outlet for their latent misogyny. I think that is quite common, and I very much understand why people would maybe not want to label neoliberal feminism as feminism because of that. You know, I've seen it many times. People reject feminism on the grounds of its liberal or neoliberal expressions, or its white civilizational or colonial expressions. And people like Francois Vergas, who's cited in the video a lot, talks about how she for a long time didn't identify as a feminist because of the white supremacy of liberal feminism. And I think we also see that in how IDPOL is conflated with neoliberal representational politics and used to dismiss concerns dismiss racism and transphobia and gay liberation, and feminism too as as not central to the concerns of overthrowing capitalism, as lesser concerns. So I do understand why people are right to be wary of labelling neoliberal feminism as feminism. But I think there are good reasons, both like whiteboard trinity of nerd, dork, dweeb. That's right, that is the social totality. The nerd, dork, dweeb, social totality, and fucking we're all sexy. That's the thing about it. Yeah, there's reasons, good reasons, both analytically and in terms of like our praxis for understanding neoliberal feminism as feminism. So first of all, if you look at like feminism's genealogy, like its tradition, we can see that neoliberal feminism isn't like some aberration from the feminist tradition, but a direct, though in many ways worse, successor to liberal feminism. White liberal feminism of the Enlightenment, of like the pre-neoliberal era, offered an imminent critique of liberalism by taking it on its own terms and like showing why liberty wasn't being extended to women. The struggles for the vote and civil and political rights and employment rights were like undeniably feminist struggles, and it'd be astounding to not accept that. But as we saw with people like Susan B. Anthony objecting to fighting for the vote for black men, and the way that hey Harkart, thanks for popping in. We're just talking about the neoliberal feminism video before we let chat descend into madness and get me talking about random shit like we normally do here. See how long I can rant on. At the moment, we're just talking about why it's useful to describe neoliberal feminism as feminism rather than just as like the creation of a feminine subject. As we saw, people like Susan B. Anthony objected to fighting for the vote for black men. What was it? She would rather cut off her own arm rather than fight for the vote for black men before women. And the way that liberal European feminists denigrated native and black men to show why their disenfranchisement was singularly unacceptable. Like, this liberal feminism was always racist and bourgeois, and I would find it difficult to say like those people and those suffragettes weren't really feminism, wasn't real feminism, despite these problems existing and despite them not fully overthrowing the patriarchy with these like with their limited sort of critique and their imminent critique, which didn't extend beyond their white supremacy. They were still feminists, clearly. And the same way, I'd find it difficult to say that a Marxist who's shit on race and gender isn't a real Marxist because they firmly fall within a strong, tradition of Marxists who are shit on race and gender. So in terms of like liberal feminism, the oldest and strongest tradition of like what we could call liberal feminism has these shortcomings on race, on class, on emancipation, and I don't think that's confined to the neoliberal form of feminism, but partly a result of the liberal feminist tradition itself. Like, it's not an aberration, it's a development in certain ways, a bad development. And secondly, I think that the way that the subjectivity that neoliberalism creates required a feminist subject rather than just a female one. This is talked about a lot in the literature. People like Nancy Fraser talk about it quite a lot. And I think one of the reasons it is why is because neoliberalism needs to co-opt potential. Like, firstly, because neoliberalism needs to co-opt potentially subversive movements, and that's true of capitalism as a whole, but also because neoliberalism's particular subjectivities mean that it needs to marketize and valorize value while maintaining the subordination of like that social reproductive work. And I think this is related to the way in which traditional morality plays out in neoliberalism, and this is something that I didn't talk a lot about in the video, but part of what is essential to neoliberalism's construction is a valorization of traditional morality, and Wendy Brown talks a lot about that. This traditional morality is a way of like creating, in Hayek's terms, non-coercive social cohesion. And this is expressed in different ways within different strands of neoliberalism. So in the right-wing one, like the sort that we'd see under Trump, that would, I think, manifest itself in the pushback against women's rights, in the ways that women were increasingly like pushed into the sort of traditional, quote unquote traditional role. But on the more progressive side of neoliberalism, I think that manifests itself in this form of neoliberal feminism, which ensured that these traditional forms of subjectivities are maintained while also claiming to be feminist. The co-option wasn't just to make it profitable. Like you see something that sometimes with regards to how subversive movements are co-opted by neoliberalism. They say like, oh, this is so that neoliberalism can make profit off of these particular groups, whether it's women, whether it's gay people or trans people or black people. They want to profit off these groups. I don't think that's quite right. I think that the reason it does it is because it needs to maintain this idea of traditional value and traditional morality within itself. And one of the ways it's found of doing that is by co-opting this feminist subjectivity. And I think that is central to why it's a feminist, the feminist subjectivity rather than just a feminine one. Like they had to defang this social movement in a way that maintained traditional morality. And I think this is how you get things like that quote about that terrible quote, that awful quote that Lila sent me, God bless her, about that woman announcing her pregnancy with a wad of cash, which made me die quite a lot inside. And in that quote, it's evident that is more than a female subject. It's a feminist one who views her liberation in terms of the market value she produces. The feminist angle is like essential, I think, to the way this form of neoliberal subjectification works. Red Shrieks, it was just, it was awful. It was beautiful as well. I'm so conflicted on it because I wish I had never read it. I wish I'd never seen it, but it so perfectly summed up everything I was saying, and it's like rare that you get a singular piece of evidence that does that so well. It was really incredible. It was really. I read the whole article. And the whole article is terrible as well, and you should not do that. But that quote in particular was really just awful. But yeah, the feminist angle is like essential to the way that this form of neoliberal subjectification works, and generating then, if we talk about the praxis of it, this a social movement which rejects that sort of subjectivity requires us to recognise it as a feminism. There was a good quote I'm just going to bring up here from Rottenberg, who was cited quite a lot in the video, where she says, neoliberal feminism helps to maintain a discourse of reproduction and care work while at the same time ensuring that all responsibility of these forms of labour, but not necessarily all of the labour itself, falls squarely on the shoulders of so-called aspirational women. In this way it solves its own constitutive tensions, the quandary of reproduction and care work, at least temporarily. Indeed, neoliberal feminism produces and maintains a distinctive and effective lexiconic register of reproductive and care work within neoliberalism, even as neoliberal rationality collapses the boundaries and divides constitutive of liberal thought, such as the public-private divide. And in that you can see just what I'm saying, that it required this form of subjectivity to maintain these ideas of traditional morality within it. And the traditional, and I don't want to overemphasise the sort of ideational tendencies, this traditional morality is bound up with the real material process of social reproduction as an essential part of capitalism. The ideas and the material processes are innately linked. And I finally think it's useful to maintain this neoliberal feminism as feminism for highlighting its interaction with imperialism and racism. The formal rights women gain under neoliberal feminism as feminism are essential to framing the West as uniquely morally progressive, which is consistent with that genealogical development from liberal feminism. And like, we've seen that a lot in the recent days in discourses on Afghanistan. The way that people who want to remain in this sort of imperial position in Afghanistan immediately invoke women's rights to justify that imperialism. And I think that's something that needs to be remembered. I don't think we get anywhere denying that this is part of feminism, but I think we can get far if we view it as a particular form of feminism, a particular tradition which is inadequate as feminism. So, like, you say to someone, no, this isn't feminism, they're going to point to various aspects of of progress made by neoliberal tradition. But you say this feminism is inadequate for the full destruction of patriarchy, and then you can accept any, like, quote, progress while, ruthlessly critiquing it. And that's sort of that's my pitch for why it's essential to recognise this tradition as a feminist one in itself. While I think it's still important to remain critical of the ways in which criticising feminism can always get that sort of shitty, misogynistic type of man who, on the left as well, who will just see it as like, oh yeah, fuck feminism, no, it's all neoliberal sort of shite. That needs to be fucking counteracted consistently as well. But I do think it is important to call it feminism. And that was the main thing I wanted to expand on from the video. I'm gonna now try and catch up with the chat and see what we're talking about. Let's see. Oh, hey, hi, George Dunbar. You just missed my rant on why we should still call neoliberal feminism as a form of feminism. Harker saying the counterpoint, recuperation and defang movements have not only been knackered but also re-established the hierarchy that caused the operative oppression. Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. The rehabilitation of that traditional morality and the reification of social reproductive work as falling on the shoulders of women is essential to that recuperation process, and that essential to that neoliberal feminism. That's why I don't think it's not just, and I say this in the video, that's why I say it's not just pointless or ridiculous neoliberal feminism, but is actively bad for liberation, because it reifies, not just defangs, but reifies these oppressive structures on women, and in particular poor and migrant women. Yeah, that's right. Peter Eriksson, that's right. If I ever fuck up someone's name on here, it's almost certainly when it's all the name in like one long straight line. I can never tell apart. I can never tell apart the letters. And if someone's name is like that, I fucked up someone's name terribly a few weeks ago, and I felt terrible for it because all the letters were like squeezed together like that. So yeah, that was my main takeaway from that video. The main thing I wanted to expand on. Unless anyone else had any other thoughts or any other questions they want to ask on the video, let's just take a look on chat, see what's going on. Oh God, just call me beast. Have you ever tried to browse our neoliberal guaranteed brain damage? Yeah, I've tried to. I've done that every now and again when I want. When I've been feeling particularly sadomasochistic. Oh, thanks, George Zambar on both. Tim Litton, yes. About describing neoliberal feminism as a form of feminism, I remember Sean Fay saying she also described TERFism as a form of feminism for similar reasons. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's not. I was talking with Bad Bunny as well. I'm not sort of confident enough to talk about that necessarily publicly on stream, because it's not necessarily my area, and I need to think more specifically on how these particular things play out. But yeah, I agree. There's a reason why it's trans exclusionary radical feminism. The problem, I think you run into similar issues there with you run similar issues there in the way that neoliberal feminism is sort of mobilised as a critique of feminism as a whole. I think that sometimes, people will call people who are clearly not feminists, like just transphobic people, they will call them TERFs. And I think part of that is just a sort of lexicon language issue, semantic issue. It's just become TERF has become synonymous with transphobe. But I also think it's a dangerous trend to associate transphobia as such with feminism as such. I think that I think people should be much more careful in how they describe the particular form of feminism from which TERFism as a specific phenomenon, largely as it comes from middle class white women and men as well who call themselves feminists. I think people have to be careful about making sure they're specific and labelling that as TERFism rather than just any transphobia. And I think that's probably also linked to the way that transphobia is mobilised as a particular wedge in re-emergent sort of fascism. I think that the way that kind of TERFism is from a particular class of white men and women is indicative of that. Lesbian separatists and people like Jermaine Greer. Yeah, and there's thanks for joining us, by the way, Chrissy. Yeah, and I think there's a kind of there's like that biological essentialism, which is always a bit uncomfortable. Before, that kind of biological essentialism is bad. It leads to these sort of bad places, I think. Ren's asking, how do you know when you're done with the research stage of a video? Honestly, it's just it depends on how much time I have left before I'm planning on doing something else. I normally just don't know. It's like I need to get something written down. Normally I find I've researched too much. For example, the video I'm writing for and researching for right now is going to be on the concept of the end of neoliberalism. And there's no reason why I should be doing the amount of research I'm doing on this fucking video, because I fucking published an article on it. I should be able to just sort of... When I chose this topic, I was like, I'm on holiday for 2 weeks in August. I'm going to do a bit of an easier video this month and just do one on like the concept of the end of neoliberalism. I've done all the research previously. But no, I've decided to read fucking 2 books and a whole bunch of articles. I started reading goddamn European industrial strategy documents, and I'm fucking fuming about it. Why would I do that? I've done it, and the video will be better for it, but I didn't need to. So the answer to that question, Ren, is I don't know. It's like, at some point, I look at the date and I go, fucking hell, I need to get my video out. I need to write this now. And I usually find I've read too much. My notes are too much, but and then it becomes a problem. I'll just fucking talk about my process. Let's talk about my process for a bit. Thanks, Sinan, I appreciate that. I was quite pleased with how it turned out in the end as well. Yeah, so the way I sort of do it is I will pick a topic which I think seems interesting. I'll do about 2 or 3 weeks of research, depending on what time of the month it is. If I've got 6 weeks to put out a video, I'll do like 4 weeks of research, which is what happened with the Girlboss one. This month I've got a bit less time. So I'll do a bunch of research. I'll be like, fuck, I need to write this video. And then I will have a plan. And I'll generally have a sort of plan before going into the head, like maybe about midway through research, I'll have a plan which is useful, and then that plan will change. And once the research is done, I will highlight areas of the research which fit into particular arguments, and then I will just fucking write in a haze. I'll get everything down because it is much easier to write loads and then edit than it is to just... You get stuck in your head. Don't want to get stuck in your head when you're writing, and that's an issue. Yeah, so that's a good idea. The structure, planning is the most important part of it. I'd say that with any writing. But planning is absolutely the most important part of any writing process. I would say that to anyone. You want to write something, plan it first. Your plan can change, but even and my plans change quite a lot. As anyone who follows on Patreon knows, they tend to see my plans change. But getting that plan down is useful in the first stage. So yeah, that's my general sort of process. Chrissy saying there's a lot of pretend feminists who are actually white reactionary evangelical groups just lying. Yeah, I believe that. And Ren, with regard to TERFs, I feel as though the brand of feminism they subscribe to is more about fighting for their right to use the full extent of their privilege than women's liberation. I agree with you. I agree with you there, Ren. I think it is it's no coincidence that it's deeply imbricated with whiteness and classism. Like, it's not a coincidence. It's consistent with the ideology that they're pursuing. The way that fascist movements often co-opt anti-oppressive systems is key for understanding the so-called gender-critical movement. Sinan saying, my next one's on the climate change, which is very much my field, but I am also reading a lot, so I sympathise with your plight, John. Yeah, it's you never realise how much fucking I have this worry, and it's probably not healthy, about I've got a worry about looking like an idiot online. Nobody wants to look like an idiot online. Especially the more the platform grows. So I just have like this worry, even when I'm talking about, and this video is very much talking about something I am specifically an expert in. I am entirely worried about looking like an idiot online. So so I do way too much reading for these, which has been useful for more general work. Like, one of the best things about doing YouTube for me has been that it has extended my knowledge base beyond where it would otherwise be. And like doing a PhD, I can see myself getting fully of just being like well into just researching neoliberalism and human rights and being really into this one specific area. And doing YouTube has allowed me to expand that research beyond that specific area and look at things like social reproduction theories, necropolitics, climate change stuff, all of the stuff which has improved the research on neoliberalism itself. And I think there's probably a lesson to be learnt in there for other people doing PhDs, not to be too myopic, but I think that is a useful thing within doing YouTube, which I think it's quite an interesting sort of thing as well. The amount of like ideas that are now in my PhD that have come from researching videos is almost worrying. Like, so if someone asked me, "Oh, John, where did you come across this idea?" It was like, "Oh, I was just researching it for a YouTube video." That's the sort of thing real academics say, isn't it? That's what they say. They were just researching for a YouTube video that got 1.7 thousand views. Yeah, that's what real academics do. Does it happen that something you've read and thought would be useful to the topic happens to be completely useless and nonsensical? Yes, Anna, that happens. That happens a lot. There's usually at least 2 or 3 articles, and if I'm reading a book, there'll be full-on chapters in that book which are not particularly useful for the topic. An example being the book I finished reading last night, or maybe the night before, on the nine lives of neoliberalism, which really focused on like the institutional embeddedness of neoliberalism as a thing. There were full-on chapters of that which were useless, and if I was editing the book, I would have been like, this is a bad chapter, take it out. But I read it anyway. But yeah, that definitely happens. The way that my bibliographies work, I know that some people are more Philosophy Tube. I know is more sort of she deals with her bibliographies in a bit more of a classically academic way than mine, I think, because she's useful. She goes through all the different ways in which all the different iterations of a script of things that might reach the final bibliography, but the final bibliography is just stuff which is cited in the video. I don't do that for mine. I like to include basically everything I've read on a topic within the bibliography, unless it's specifically not useful, because even if I haven't cited something directly, the cumulative effect of reading something that isn't cited directly will have influenced my thought on a topic, and it will be useful for people to read. And the point of doing these videos is as much to get people to read more on the topics as it is to watch the videos. Like, because obviously, thanks Marxist Paul. Yeah, it's I got 5k before I went on holiday, and came back from holiday, and 6.6k now. Just wait until we get to 69k. The jokes are going to be so fucking good. Going to be so fucking good when I get that 66.9 420 subs. It's going to be fucking great joke central. My Twitter is going to have that one joke, and it's going to be great. What was I saying? I was saying something relatively smart. It's gone. Oh yeah. The usefulness of, I think it's useful for people to look at the bibliographies, and if they've got time, these are small pieces of work. Like 45-minute video, 4,500 words. That's not a big piece of work. That's an introduction to a topic. So the reason I keep in stuff that isn't necessarily cited within the text of the video itself is because I want people to read beyond what I have put down if they've got time. And I know most people don't have time, but I still think it's nice to put it in there. Don't overthink the looking like an idiot part, to be honest. Your audience probably cares less about that than you think. Oh, I know, but there's no way that... there's absolutely no way that I will be able to stop worrying about that. That's just in my head, and it will not stop. I'll be like, you're an idiot, John. It'll just niggle away. Like, other people know more than you. Why does that matter? Why? No, that will niggle away. It keeps me on my toes anyway. Wouldn't want to become the person who thinks that they're smart. They're the worst people. High level ideas. Smart, theoretical, highly academic, 69 420 lol is the JTD experience I've started to expect, really. Fucking vibes. We're vibing on that. No one wants to be a himbo, I get it. Look, I don't want to steal himbo valor. I know some people who are like, oh, I'm a himbo. It's like, you're not. You're a fucking, you read 4 Marx books in the last week. You're not a himbo. This is a specific call out of my friend Luke. Look, you're not a himbo. If you're listening to this, you're not a himbo. If anyone wants to cut this out and send it to him, you're not a himbo. You can do your best to pretend, but I've seen you describe value theory, and you're not a himbo. This is a specific call out, which means something to maybe 4 people on the planet, and none of them are here. So, great content, John. John Duncan, if Michel Foucault were Scottish and a poster. And also, Bubble Boy, if Michel Foucault didn't reject the background class society as he did in his later years. Come on, Foucault, get your shit together. Sinan's starting to begin your himbo by going to the gym. I mean, I run, I swim, I do exercise. I try and stave off the inevitable wear of time on the fucking rock of life as it wears away until we all just crumble and disappear. I do my best. Fucking hell. I guess the answer to the question someone asked earlier is, where do I stand on doomerism? Apparently, instinctively close. Being a thembo, wannabe academic is my proudest achievement. Well, yeah, well done, Ren. Yeah, so no, he's not a himbo. We know he's not a himbo. Yeah, Red Chick Seed, I'm sorry, my editing techniques are not good. I don't know what I'm doing. I have Filmora. I've never managed to get a cracked version of the free version of whatever the professional one is. The Adobe one. That's the one that people use, which is maybe better for it. I'm on Filmora. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not all that willing to put in the time to get better at it. I'm kind of amazed that I managed to figure out what I did. The visible, at points, hands disappear. I'm not learning how to do image masking. I'm not going to do it. You're just going to have to fucking deal with it. And I'm going to lean into it and say, it's charming. My lack of editing skills, gives it a bit of homemade charm. You know, who cares? That's what I'm sticking with. That's my excuse. Tim Litton, I'm going to become a himbo by hitting myself on the head with a rock very hard. I can't condone that. Shooting to make my brand himbo who occasionally reads. Michel Foucault already debated Chomsky, and I'm not going to... Maybe... Will I watch that one day? Probably not. I was just talking with someone earlier about how Chomsky's voice just sends me to sleep. That's right, Peter Erickson, like the thumbprints and ceramics. That's what my editing style is like. And thanks, Anna. I bless you, Anna, for not even noticing. Brand, my video style is old school. I mean, yeah, if old school just means low quality, I guess we could. Yeah, George. Well, even George Lucas in 1999 had. He could fucking. Well, I try and put in some sort of like. I'll go back to my videos in like 10 years and edit in random CGI characters with funny voices to be like, what are you saying, John? Oh, hi, random CGI character that shouldn't be in here. Do you want to talk about the death of the world? Why, yes, I do. That's my CGI person voice. It's the sub. Oh, Rocket Diver, you think this is going to improve if I ever get post 10k subs? Nah, this is not is not improving anytime soon. There's absolutely no way. I mean, if anything, I just don't have the time. Maybe if I was like a full-time, tuber, is that the word? I'm coining that word right now. We need to be more cringe on YouTube if that's possible. If I was a full-time, the John Duncan Special Edition, that's the name of my sex tape. If I was a full-time YouTuber, I might spend more time on the production value and stuff, but I suspect even then I'd probably just use that extra time to do more research. But with I am incredibly busy with like PhD stuff as well. I'm not spending time learning how to do editing properly. Just not happening. Beef me Foucault, yeah. I hope people think I'm sucking ironically. Just forget CGI, just make sock puppets. I'd watch that. There might well be a point in which I think of some stupid bit to do the song P.S. not the sex tape. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, my brain just went to imagining that. Rocket Diver, my comment might be a burn that depends on what you do in the future. I mean, and I'm telling you now, I'm not improving. I'll give you a firm commitment on that. I'm not going to get better. This is what you've got. The buying of an actual camera and a lapel mic. That's kind of, I think that's probably my limit. I might get better at presenting it. By virtue of just practicing, but editing and learning how to do that stuff, don't think I'm gonna get better at that. Socratic dialogue, but it's just Star Wars CGI characters. I would watch a John the Duncan sock puppet sex tape. Maybe make that like 2 million sub commitment. The 1 million sub commitment is to do a normal video, and then at the end, just get up and be fully fucking Donald Ducking it. That's the commitment there. $5K one is the Gramsci Iago. I don't know if I'll wear the Gramsci Iago one for this video, but I'll be wearing it for the chicken run video, which I'm making for my patrons, 50 patrons. I'm probably gonna watch Chicken Run this weekend and start taking notes. I've got some ideas about that video, but I've never done media analysis before, and I think I'll release it for my patrons as soon as it's done, and then maybe put it up for everyone else at Christmas time, as a video then. That's where I'm gonna wear the Gramsci Iago shirt for sure, hoodie for sure. I might wear it in this next video. Depends if I can find a spot that makes it funny. I have an idea that might make it funny. We'll see. I'm just gonna take a wee sip of my drink. So that's why the dead air is going. Don't everyone flee while the dead air disappears. Alright, let's catch up on chat. All copies of Windows Movie Maker are bust. John the Duncan only socks when... No, Bubble Boy, I did make that joke. Talking about OnlyFans. Fuck OnlyFans. Absolute pieces of shit OnlyFans. For absolutely fucking over sex workers. It's outrageous. Like, for so many people I know are just fucked over completely about that. So fuck OnlyFans. Like I said on Twitter, any sex workers who I'm like happy to retweet any like cash apps or anything that any sex workers need retweeting. giving exposure to anyone who needs exposure, because this is fucking shit. Fuck OnlyFans, pieces of absolute shit, kicking sex workers off that site. I hope another platform becomes immediately available to them, because it's absolutely fucked up. So that's something that should be said. I think if we tie that back to feminism, I don't think this is that as a result of any sort of feminism. I think from what I've heard, it's about particular reactionary venture capitalist investors who are very anti-sex work. But I think that the connections between TERFism and anti-sex work feminism are quite clear as well, and that they criticise particular forms of womanhood which they don't view as being legitimate. If anyone's ever heard of the book Revolting Prostitutes, it's a fantastic book that everyone should absolutely read. It's not just fucking fantastic, not just great writing, not just incredibly valuable, but it just grabs you the whole time. It's a fantastic book that everyone should read. And also, fuck OnlyFans. Absolute pieces of shit. What was I going to say? Yeah, what inspired that was that I did have an idea of just starting an OnlyFans that was just me putting my socks on in the morning and staring into the middle distance, considering the coming weight of the day and all of the implications that involved. That would be my plan. But now that OnlyFans is a fucking piece of shit organisation that is kicking off sex workers, absolutely fuck them. Absolutely fuck them. Tim Luton, I don't know if they thought that far ahead. I think it's a result. Yeah, like Red Trixie's saying, they make a profit off their work. They make them a big platform. Sex workers made them a big platform, and then you just discard them in the name of these fucking reactionary, goddamn venture capitalists who are funding them. It's absolutely disgraceful. And yeah, like Raggle Taggle's saying, I hope sex workers who've been scorned by OnlyFans do make a new platform. That'd be amazing. It would, yeah. I mean, it goes to show just how precarious all work online is, and that precariety obviously exaggerated by in groups who are already precarious in the quote real world. Like sex workers obviously are in incredibly precarious positions, and that, like, you know, I had a friend got kicked off Twitter the other day, and their whole career is tied to Twitter. If I got kicked off Twitter, not just YouTube, but like academic work these days often requires big Twitter accounts. It's a frequent story in academia that if you don't have more than 10,000 Twitter subscribers, some roles just want. And it was Marina Dove got kicked off Twitter for telling Peter Coffin that they would punch them in the face for being a fucking anti-Semite, or defending an anti-Semite, which is functionally, what's the difference there? Frankly, Peter Coffin, after encouraging what did he sort of encouraged and defended the sexual harassment of Sophie from Curio, and then defended Caleb Maupin's explicit anti-Semitism. So a real fucking banner day for Coffin. I think that got to Marina, and they said that they'd break Coffin's jaw, which is funny, and we salute them for it. But being kicked off Twitter is just like, obviously, it would fuck their career up, because they had OnlyFans as well, and they relied on Twitter, not just YouTube. It absolutely goes to show just how fucked online, fucked and precarious online work is, particularly if you're already in a precarious position. American moral panic has become the lowest common denominator on the internet. Marina cannot even bare her bosom on big tech platforms because of American moralism. It's out. Yeah, I mean, it's just, the whole thing is outrageous. Tim Luton, I watched Sophie reading that book as well, and like I previously just thought Maupin was a bit of a dipshit, with a really poor. Oh wow, wow! Thanks, Jacob Bear. That's, I think you've just given me my first ever super chat. That's incredible. Thanks so much. You're calling. Enjoy some freedom bucks. Sorry, I know they don't go as far in your part of the world, but it's what I got. Also, keep up all the good work and bad editing. I love it all. Thanks so much. Like, that is incredibly kind of you. Well done, or thank you. Well done. Thank you for being my first ever super chat. That's lovely. Yeah, thanks so much. I don't quite know how to react beyond that. That's really sweet. I will keep up the bad editing. Don't you worry about that. If I accidentally get good at editing, I'll owe you $30. Yeah. So I used to just think Maupin was a bit of a dipshit, who didn't really understand the things that he'd read. His understanding of Marxism, of imperialism, I thought was just poor, and I thought that was just specifically tied to his emotional connection to defending the USSR and the CCP. Don't take that as any particular indication of my position, firm or hard, against those things. I just thought that was how he worked. But then I saw that supercut the Serfs made of all of this anti-Semitic things and racist things he said, and I was like, fucking hell, this guy is just straight up a danger. He's just straight up anti-Semitic and awful. And then I watched that stream with Sophie and Thought Slime and Sam from We're in Hell, and Jess as well, and holy shit, that book that he wrote. I mean, I don't know what I expected from a book called, what was it, the Devil at the Fountainhead, Demons at the Fountainhead or something. Fucking hell, that book is just explicitly anti-Semitic. Just like, it's not even veiled. Like, fucking hell. And to see Coffin. Oh, thanks for coming along, Jacob Bear. Enjoy your Satan at the Fountainhead. That was it. Enjoy the gym. Yeah, to see Coffin defend that by couching it in terms of like, oh, you can't even talk about imperialism. I know Coffin is smarter than that. I know they know that is a fucking lie. I know they know that. So to see them do that is just fucking outrageous. Let me just look back on chat, see what I missed when I was talking about fucking Caleb Maupin. A guy who doesn't really deserve any of our attention and has no real fucking cultural impact, I don't think. But is just a fucking piece of shit. Coffin, maybe, I feel like their cultural reach is dying off quite a lot, considering they seem to... oh, welcome, Mainland Mandy. Considering that they need to burn the bridge of everyone who ever seems to have been friends with them or worked with them at any point in their entire lives. Ren, what was that?
Ren saying, what really unsettles me about the OnlyFans news is the Twitter responses of people making OnlyFans applying to real jobs memes that have been circulating, a giveaway that some don't view sex work as work. Yeah, that is depressing as shit. People really are quick to reveal themselves in terms of how much they devalue and dehumanize sex workers. Just quick. Red Kimmy, Just for Fans made a tweet saying they welcome all sex workers and that they will never take away explicit content. Not sure how big they are or what sort of resources they have, but well, it's good. I mean, it's good that there is a platform willing to do that. Hard to say how much of it is opportunism. Ultimately, there will be no security on an online platform unless the workers on that platform, i.e. the sex workers, own that platform themselves. And that gets to a bigger problem of precariety and structures of capitalism themselves. But I hope that in the short term, another platform is made available very quickly, because otherwise there's going to be a whole lot of people who are in really bad situations. Peter Erickson, VC funding. Yeah, VC funding it does bad things. It does bad things than even normal funding does, which is not great. Missed saying bye to Anna. Thank you for Anna for coming along. Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat here. Would Uber Fireham, would you consider doing a video on precarity and precariousness, i.e. Judith Butler's precarious life more generally? I've not read any Judith Butler, but it is something I very much want to. Right now, my sort of fun reading is Transgender Marxism, and there was an essay in that which utilised Judith Butler's gender trouble really, really well. And it was really interesting. Maybe really want to read Gender Trouble. I don't know what Judith Butler's precarious life is, but maybe. It's the way I tend to do videos is just if something. Often it's just if something has annoyed me on Twitter, and I'll be like, let's make a video about that. Sometimes it's if I find a concept that's been interesting. Necropolitics was an example of that. That was just, I came across the concept. I was like, this seems like a really interesting concept, and I wanted to delve into it. The Making a Girlboss one has one that has been in the back of my head for over a year. I have it on my list of potential. I had it on my list of potential videos for over a year. I can't remember what it was that finally spurred me into making it. Actually, no, I can't. It's because I read Social Reproduction Theory. That was it. And I was like, I'm finally going to do this neoliberal Girlboss video. So I will note down that Judith Butler's Precarious Life, and if I get round to reading it, then I might do a video on that. See if I can add anything. If I'm doing a video, I like to think that I'm adding something as well. I think there's a lot. When I first started the channel, I guess this is my... Fuck yeah, this must be my 2-year anniversary this month of making YouTubes. Fuck it, we'll make this a 2-year anniversary celebration stream as well. Been making videos for 2 years. When I first started making them, I specifically didn't want to do things like React content, stuff to like reacting to Ben Shapiro, and that's like... It's not like a shot against anyone who does do that sort of stuff. People do it well. Sean has just done a video on PragerU and its law, and I think that's good stuff. But I don't think I could add anything. I think there's enough people who do it, and I couldn't really add anything to it. And I didn't really want to. And that's, when I'm making videos, I want to add something. And sometimes I've not been able to add anything particular. Especially in the earlier videos, like, the one I did on white privilege was really just an explainer of the concept of white privilege. It didn't really add anything. It's a fine video, but it's not like I wouldn't if I wouldn't make that video today, essentially, because I wouldn't really like. It's not anything new. That was also an effect of when I used to take bigger subjects and split them up, because that white privilege video was initially one video on white supremacy and capitalism, but I ended up splitting it up for reasons, and it made one video kind of bad and one video not bad. It made one video kind of boring and one video incomplete. So I wouldn't do that again. So yeah, when I'm thinking about doing a video, if I come across Judith Butler's precarious life and I think I can add something to that, then I would do a video on it. Lots of. I will just scroll down on the chat. Lots of people saying coffin sucks. Yes, they do. I can't disagree with that, especially after they fucking encouraged and defended sexual harassment against my friend and defended anti-Semitism. Yeah, sorry, I can't keep up with chat. Yeah, 34 viewers and I can't keep up with chat. It's amazing. It's just because all of you have such incredible comments that it's just I want to read them all. Look at especially this one from Red Tixid saying Keter Poffin. Why would I want to miss something like that? I want to see all of your comments, all of your great comments. I'm not sure what you mean, Rocket Diver, when you say people like Coffin, Vosh and others make me really nervous of looking for smaller leftist creators. You could find someone clandestine wrong or hateful. I mean, that's true of anyone, right? You just have to judge. Yeah, all you can do is judge people on what they, on the content they produce. In my experience, a lot of the smaller creators are producing stuff that is just incredible. Some of the like Marina's stuff. Marina's last video on abortion, which I think is quite a good video to watch in conjunction with making a Girlboss, because they delve into subjectivity and Federici in really interesting ways, and I think that's a really good companion video, and their videos are just great. And a lot of the smaller creators are just producing, like Sinan's videos are great as well. There's an idea, I think I got at this a little bit on the debate video. There's an idea, I think, online that higher subs correlate to a degree of quality, and I'm not saying not saying anyone in particular high subs is not good quality, but the idea that subs equals quality is I don't think a valuable way of looking at it. That's probably not what you meant. So sorry if I was just going on at you for something you entirely didn't mean. But I spoke for a bit, and that's all we can hope for. Yes, Chrisiosity, yes, current affairs, that current affairs stuff was fucking astounding. The arrogance of Nathan J. Robinson was, honestly, that took me aback. Like, I can't envisage how someone who considers themselves a socialist thought that they would be able to get away with something like that. It's just incredible, and the sort of non-apology or justification that he did on Facebook was just pathetic, really. What it did show, I think, was how powerful capitalist structures are in moulding behaviour. even people who consider themselves very principled people, give it all up for, according to, if it's true that everyone was paid the same, then that's the power of capital structures in actually just ensuring that some people have like power of like hire and fire and directing where a product goes is incredible, and you know it is disappointing. Yeah. Let me just I'll just get scroll down on chat, see if I can take a look at some stuff. Spike, mainly Maddie, Spike can be a solid creative inspiration for sure. Yeah. What ones specifically? There's been a few that have been motivated by spite. I wish that wasn't true. I wish I had more sort of like intellectual integrity. I know some people are like, oh yeah, I really had this curiosity about this topic that I wanted to explore, and I was just like, and the video on human rights, that's inspired by long-standing spite, both on YouTube and in the wider academic community in reaction to in their treatment of human rights, and their undialectical, in my view, treatment of human rights, against patriotism. Yeah, that one was a bit done out of spite. I think at that time. Oh, I remember the specific tweet that inspired that video. It was a Lewis Goodall tweet in which he said, it features in the video. I think I might have got Sinan to read that tweet. Lewis Goodall is a political editor for the BBC. He said that he couldn't understand why right-wingers were storming the Capitol because just a few years ago they were all patriotic. And I was like, I'm going to fucking do a video about this because this has annoyed me. The free speech one, yeah, I mean, that's in the title. I'm bored of the free speech debate. A bit of spite. Necropolitics, that was interest. That was just pure interest. Debate one, yeah, you know, a little bit of spite in there. Girlboss one, that was just interest. So there's a healthy dose of spite in there. Which probably not great. There's probably people who would listen to me say that and be like, that's bad vibes, and you know what? You're probably right. Thank you for the happy anniversary messages, everyone on there, and the cakes. Bremsnicks. Sorry, that's another example of letters being really close together in a way that I find it, my brain finds it difficult to process. I've been meaning to read that book, Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism, for a while. I've heard good things. Let's see. Fuck, I'm just gonna have to scroll down. I'm losing track of chat, guys. There's too many of you. You're all doing two good chats. I can't keep up with it all. A little bit of spite brings the flavour out. That's right. Yes, Sinan, that was the one. I think you got you to write. Got you to read. Yeah, Harker. That's what I was thinking about Abigail, being like, I was like in her post video streams. It's just like it's like, did I make this out of a place of curiosity? Yes, I did. And I'm just like, did I make this out of a place of fucking spite? Did I fucking work out all my psychological issues over people who have annoyed me on the internet over this? Yes, I did. And I felt fucking great about it. Maybe I should think about that. Am I gonna? Probably not. But maybe I should. Oh, Ren, thanks for joining the stream, Ren. Great chatter, great questions, all round. Timlin, it should make left media all the more determined to structure themselves horizontally, otherwise the hierarchical will always kick in to prevent the democratised media from happening. Yeah, I think you're right, Timlin. I think that one of the most undervalued insights from an undervalued theoretical strain on the left, which is anarchism. I'm not an anarchist, but I treat anarchism with fucking respect, like people should. And if I see people not treating anarchism with respect, I will be disappointed in you. I will be very disappointed in you. But one of the most useful insights from anarchist theory is the unitary treatment of theory and praxis. And I think people should really take that on board in terms of how they organise things like left media. Oh, Bubble Boy, I know there's an alternative. That's one of my deep dark secrets, is that I know I would probably be very good at it. I know I'd be very be good at it if I have that sort of shit shit part of my brain that knows I'd probably end up being quite good at it, and I hate it. I hate that part of me. And what was I saying? Yeah, I think the unitary of theory and praxis is useful, essential, I think, for structuring things like left media. I think that the situation with current affairs is very very indicative of that. Thank you, Raggle Taggle, for coming along and feeding the spite. Go and feed some hedgehogs. That sounds absolutely fucking adorable. I'm glad to see anarchists in the chat. No, I'll let you know. I'm on the front lines defending you. Sometimes some of you can be quite cringe. I know that. But I will defend you. And you know that too. We can all be a little bit cringe sometimes. But as one of, I just don't understand it. It's one of the most frequently maligned strands of left theory, and it's one of these things that's like, if you want me to lose respect for you as a person on the left really quickly, it's if you denigrate anarchism in really obtuse, like if you just dismiss anarchism as a legitimate strand of left thought, which has very useful strains of analysis and really useful praxis, and has been filled with people who've been like at the forefront of anti-fascist activity, like I just don't. I think as a way to get me to very quickly lose a bit of respect to you as a person on the left if you denigrate anarchism like that. Similarly, I think I know it's like the fucking like rivalry bullshit of ML to anarchism, but similarly to denigrate. And I have my critiques of Marxist-Leninism as well, as many other people do. But to dismiss it as a legitimate strand of leftist theory, which has particular uses and particularly good insights, then if you dismiss it, then I don't. I'm not that that annoys me too. So man, my dad's an ML. I've been critiquing it my whole life. Musty Vosh probably does that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really follow Vosh anymore. I think I unfollowed Vosh on Twitter just because he was annoying me. That's keep your life simple. Someone annoys you on Twitter, unfollow them. That's one weird trick. Bresmix, I having existed in left organising spaces before, I see a lot of, I've seen time and time again of Marxist-Leninists and anarchists working very happily together because they're pretty aware that their key issue is fucking the same. I think that is an issue with Twitter, is everything is elevated to discourse by function of it being fucking Twitter. And once everything is elevated to discourse and detached slightly from like the material struggle, which, you know, it's not saying Twitter is useless for generating and sustaining material struggle, but, you know, it is just pure discourse, is that I think it can tend to get people to miss the strong connections between the two theoretical traditions. Yeah, Red Kimmy, you're right. I agree with you. Yeah, Bubble Boy, they never really got over the first international split. I just like I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that sort of thing. It makes me lose my head. I just sort of my head turns to static and I can't follow. Noah, thank you for saying that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We're just sort of chatting here. We talked about the start about the video. And we're dipping in and out, discussing it. Right now we're just getting into some fucking anarchist versus Marxist-Leninism chat, and saying that it's stupid. Which is an area which is probably out of my wheelhouse, and probably shouldn't talk a whole lot more about it in case I say something stupid. Noah, but did you redraw that educational circle at least once, so your whiteboard skills? Interestingly, well, actually, not interestingly, very boringly, I did redraw that circle a few times. In the take that you saw, that was the first take, and like the third time I had to refilm that whole segment because it was out of focus. I haven't totally figured out my camera properly, so I had to refilm whole sections of that video over again. And the whiteboard section was like the third time I'd had to refilm it. So at that point, I pretty much knew it off by heart, which is why the delivery is better than in other places. So I'd redrawn the circle quite a few times by that point. But in that the particular take that's in the video is the first time I'd drawn the circle of the refilming process, if you get what I mean. Let's see. Vosh exists out there, and that's fine. I don't follow him. Yeah, whatever. You know, I think he's a bit shit. Don't really care. That's my. I guess I did make a whole debate video about it, but thanks, Chrissy, for coming on. We're probably gonna stick around, not for a whole lot longer. We've been talking for an hour and a half. Fucking hell. Sometimes, thank you for joining us. Sometimes I do these streams and I think, fucking hell, I've got a gob on me, don't I? I can just fucking talk. Absolute nonsense, just drivel, just pouring out my mouth. I had that thought over the weekend. I was talking with someone and I was like, I just came to the sort of the realization that they hadn't said anything in like 10 minutes and it had just been me just fucking dumping nonsense, just fucking chatting shite for 10 minutes, and I was like, fucking hell, what a gob, what an absolute gob I've got. Cowering away from the discourse. Mum, the leftists on Twitter are fighting again. Reasoning aloud, you're right, not many people take those sort of questions seriously. I think there are legitimate reasons for these people to disagree and talk, and it has impacts on forms of praxis. But you know, in the state we're in right now, there's more productive things to do. And we need to find a particularly annoying liberal or social democrat that'll make the Marxists and anarchists unite. Should I say Vosh exists? And that's not worked yet. No, it's really great to see Federici's Caliban work used in a useful and current way. Thanks very much. I was pleased to use it in that way. I thought that was a way that hadn't been used before. I think that's what I was saying earlier in the video. I think this is probably my most theoretically like productive video, in that I think there's a lot in there that's quite new, and I want to, maybe I've been thinking about writing and extending some of the arguments and stuff that I've presented in that video into some sort of academic work, maybe a paper, maybe a conference paper, maybe something, which I think would be useful, because I think there's a lot in there that could be expanded upon, and I'm really pleased with that, to toot my own horn a bit. But yeah, thank you for saying that. Oh God, Destiny, Jesus Christ, Destiny. Fucking hell, Destiny. I'm not even going to think about it. Voss embarrasses me as a Twitch streamer. Oh, yeah. Red, come here. You know who's an annoying social democrat? Actually, never mind, I'm going to vent about the Swedish government in this moment. You can fucking vent about the Swedish government as well. Does the Swedish government still consider is it still considered at this point meaningfully socially democratic, or is it so far veered into that sort of neoliberal strain that it would be considered neoliberalism? I don't know a whole lot about Sweden, unfortunately, except I know that it went through a very rapid neoliberalising process. I'm not sure how much of that has stuck and how much it would meaningfully be described as social democratic anymore, or if that process is still ongoing. So I would be interested to hear you vent about the Swedish government. Yeah, just to get her ideas out there. It is good. I was a bit nervous with some of the stuff on Federici, because when I first started reading that book, I put out Caliban and the Witch. I put out a tweet saying, like, fucking hell, this slaps. And Abby, Philosophy Tube, DM'd me saying, like, be careful putting that out there, because a lot of TERFs have taken up Federici's ideas and run with them, and that has meant that some people might see your unconditional support of Caliban and the Witch as indicating support of transphobia, and you know, that's why I was very specific in being like, fuck off, TERFs, and that's also why I wore that little the little badge, which is from the pre-order of transgender Marxism, to indicate that there was absolutely no transphobia allowed, no gender essentialism allowed on this channel. And that has been the feelings about Caliban and the Witch have been accentuated by some of Federici's statements, which presently, which aren't like necessarily, they're not like TERF. She's not like a TERF, but in her new book and some of the statements she's made, it implies a lack of understanding of like being trans and the forms that transphobia take in the world. And I read a really good article which critiqued her in a really camaraderie way, pointing out where she might be mistaken. And I suspect, the sort of thinker she is, she would be very much open to that. I don't see her falling down that TERF trap. I did write something about this sort of transphobia that are TERFs taking parts of Caliban and the Witch. Maybe is that here? Have I got it here? Oh no, I don't have it here. Yeah, so I don't think... I think there is I think you could read Federici's work in a transphobic way, but that reading is, I think, wrong, and I don't think it makes sense within the flow of the argument being presented by Federici within that book. I think a lot of people say, like, all of this proves that all oppression of women is necessarily about biology, which isn't the argument being presented by Federici. It's all about the social construction of a historically contingent group in relation to production, in relation to these different forces, which included control, in some cases, over biological, like, reproduction. But it wasn't by any means the central linchpin of the argument. I think anyone who was transphobic and who wanted to and who did fully engage with her work wouldn't in any intellectually consistent way be able to come away with being like with a real transphobic reading of Caliban and the Witch. But I can certainly see how it may be amenable to people taking that reading away if they want to take it away, and if they don't want to be intellectually honest, which, why would a TERF be intellectually honest? Let's see. Can I link the article? Oh Christ, can I find the article? I'll see if I can find it. Give me a sec. It'll be lost away down in one of my group chats, so if I can't find it now, I might not be able to find it. Let's see. Red came here. Well, the party is called the Social Democratic Party, but yes, they're very neoliberal, and current administration has been privatising schools and healthcare to kingdom come. Well, fucking hell, that is classic neoliberalism. That's actually consistent with some of the stuff I'm working on in my PhD research right now about social reproduction as connected to the subjectification process. Yeah, sorry, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to find this. I don't think my computer can handle doing a Google search at the same time as doing a fucking stream, or it might explode. Yeah, I think that Red Kim you're talking about is very similar to the stuff what I've been thinking about recently in terms of social reproduction and the role of subjectification under neoliberalism, which I'm going to do a video on that maybe next month, maybe at some point, but it's going to be a chapter of my PhD, which I'm going to be thinking about that a lot, the way that things like healthcare and schools, social care, all these things are at the forefront of privatizations and subjectifications under neoliberalism, and is also John rams Turf Castle, but his PC doesn't ram. You're not wrong there. If I look at my RAM right now, it'll say like 98%. It's fucking dire. I need a new computer. What was I saying? I was saying something about social reproduction. Yeah, like healthcare, education, social care are all at the forefront of privatizations, and therefore at the forefront of this sort of subjectification process, which I think is a form of primitive accumulation in like the way that Federici and Harvey talk about it, as a way of reordering social relations in like relation to capital, which is a sort of area I think I'm really excited to sort of write more about and think more about, because I think it might be quite a new observation, which is always a good feeling. Red Kimmy saying the left party in Sweden used to be communist, now they're basically what the Soc Dem was a couple of decades ago, and the Soc Dems are just neoliberals. Oh man, that's fucking... it's grim, isn't it? It's not great. What a bad time. I hope you find it, Noah. So I think we will start drawing it to a close. Start drawing the stream to a close. I very much need the toilet. I've somehow managed to talk solidly for an hour and 45 minutes, which is just pretty good going, right? It's been a good stream. Oh yeah, Harker, definitely. I recently bought Pedagogy of the Oppressed. I will send you an article as well on the group chat of which is interesting. But yeah, we should talk about that. Thanks for joining, Mandy. You must discover the wonders of the bucket. Oh yeah, to piss. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. I will shove on the end music. Actually, no, I won't. I'll probably just. John will have another 1k subs until next stream. Quote me on it. We'll see. As long as I get 69,420 soon enough, and I don't sleep through it. If I do sleep through it, I'll be fucking furious. If I sleep through 6,900, 6,9,428, then I'll be furious. But you know, we move. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. See you later.